So on here, we're going to take it to the next level where you want to find the equation of line, but eventually not have the graph. Okay, so let's just start off though with the graph, and then hopefully you can find the pattern and figure out how to get these answers without using a graph. So we're going to be looking for patterns here. So go ahead and let's draw a line that has a y-intercept of 1. It has a y-intercept of 1. So go on your axis here. Let's put a dot at 1. Okay, y-intercept of 1. And the slope of 2, which is the same as 2 over 1. So we can go up to right 1. Up to right 1. And then use a straight edge and draw that line. So what is the equation of this line? If we had to write this in y equals mx plus b format, what is the equation of this line? All right. So what's the y-intercept? What's the y-intercept? Okay, where's the intersect here? Yeah, positive 1. So we know the y-intercept is 1. And what is the slope, just like we have been doing? 2 over 1. Right? So, and can that be reduced at all? Yeah, we don't want the 1 underneath, right? So get rid of that 1 underneath. So our final answer, our final equation will be y equals 2x plus 1. Okay. Not too bad. Let's try number, go ahead and erase that line. Let's do number 3. What is the, go ahead and graph the y-intercept. This time the y-intercept is -4. So down 1, 2, 3, 4. And the slope is -1. Now if you need to, of course, you can make that -1 over 1. So that's going to be down 1 and right 1. So we got down 1, right 1. Okay. And use your straight edge, of course. And you can graph the line. So same thing before. What's the equation of this line? Yeah, so y-intercept is -4, slope is -1 over 1. So remember, don't write the, you might get this, but you want to drop the over 1, and we don't need to have a 1 coefficient, so we end up with just -x minus 4. Okay. Now, looking at those two answers, y equals 2x minus 1 and y equals -x minus 4, do you think you can get number 2, but without graphing? Do you see a pattern? Look at the question and look at our answer. Look at this question, -1 slope, y-intercept of -4, and look at our answer. Do we really need to graph it in order to figure out what the equation is? No. So go ahead and try number 2. What would you get for your equation on number 2 using that pattern, looking for that pattern? Okay, so what do we come up with? Y equals 2x, and then what? Plus 3. Yeah. So it just fits into the slope-intercept form really nice. If you're given a slope, remember slope is m. y-intercept is b. So to find the equation of a line, really don't need to go ahead and graph it in order to count the slope and the rise over run. We can go straight from having the slope and having the y-intercept to writing the equation. Just remember all the rules, how we leave off numbers, things like that. Like this was a -1, but we wrote it as negative x, not negative 1x. So there's still a little bit of simplifying you might have to do. Okay, do you think you can finish? Let's see here. Well, let's just keep going actually. Don't want to waste too much time. So let's go down to number 7 now. Let's graph that. So you notice how they don't give us the y-intercept, they give us a point. So let's graph -2, -5. So negative from the center, -2 would be 2 to the left, and then down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And then the slope is 3, or 3 over 1. All right, so we're going to go up 3 and right 1. So let's go up 3, right 1, up 3, right 1. Do that a few times. And find the equation of that line. So what's the y-intercept of this line? Where does it cross the y-axis? At +1, right here. So our y-intercept equals 1. So now we can get the answer just like we did before, using the slope and the y-intercept. We know our answer is y equals 3x plus 1. Now you notice how it wasn't quite as simple here. We kind of had to use the graph in order to find out, oh, it goes through 1, because they just gave us a starting point down here and the slope. We had to use the slope a few times to figure out that y-intercept was +1. Okay, let's do, let's see, how about number 9 right below it? No, let's do number 8 right next to it as well. So we're going to start at -1, 3. So let's start there. -1, 3. So to the left 1, up 3. There's -1, 3. And our slope is -7, or -7 over 1. So that's down 7, right 1. So let's go down 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 1. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That kind of goes off the graph, so we can't go any more than just that one dot. Very steep line has a slope of -7. Go up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 1. Yep, do that. Fits barely. Go. So what's the y-intercept of this particular line? So where does it cross? 1, 2, 3, 4, right here, right? So that's -4. Y-intercept is -4. So from our starting point, went down 7, right 1, I was able to get -4. So back to here, we know that our y-intercept is -4. What's the equation if we have the slope of -7, the y-intercept of -4? Right? Okay. So that's, let me stop there. is, well, what if you don't have a graph and a marker handy? How are you going to do this? Because you see there's no space here on the actual paper. There's no graph on the paper. So how can we get this answer without actually doing a graph? And that's really what you want to learn today. We could use a graph. We could go back and forth, but that kind of takes a while. And during a test, you're not going to have this with you. So how can we do it without a graph? So watch me on 7 and 8. Okay. Recall that slope is m, right? And this point is x and y, right? So in our formula, we have a y, an m, an x, and then the b. That's what we're trying to figure out. So what we're going to do instead is plug these numbers into the formula and show that we'll get the same y-intercept of b equals 1, but without using a graph. So watch me plug this in. I'm going to plug in -5 for y, plug in 3 for m, and x is -2. Alright, and I'm just going to bring down the plus b because that's what we're trying to figure out. And we have -5 on the left. 3 times -2 is -6, plus b. And then I can solve this. Add 6 to both sides. And 6 minus 5 equals 1. So you see how I got the same answer we got from the graph, b equals 1, but without using a graph. We got it here. So we can still come up with this equation because we have 3, and now we can solve to get 1, but we didn't have to use a graph. So that's the way we're going to try to do the rest of them, is without using the graph. So let's do number 8 together. Follow me on number 8. So start off with y equals mx plus b, right? And we already know, because we did it already, we should get an answer of -4. Because we did that on the graph, and we saw it cross at -4. So when we plug it in, let's plug everything in here. X, that's y, and this is m. So we have 3 equals -7 for m, -1 for x, and then just plus b. Okay. We can simplify -7 times -1, which equals +7. Okay. And start on the side of the variable. Here's a +7, so let's subtract that to both sides. 3 minus 7 is -4, just like we expected it to be. So we got the same answer from the graph as we are from our formula. So we can do it 2 ways. If you have a graph, you can always try to graph it and see what you get just by looking at the y-axis. But there's a formula that works just as nice. Okay, so let's do one more. Let's do a few more from beginning to end, and then I'll give you the rest of the period to finish the rest by using the formula only. Okay? So number 9. Writing this down. Okay. So we have x, y, that's a y, and an m. So plug in, what does y equal? What's the y equal here? Which one number is it? -5, right? Because this is x, this is y. So we got -5. What is m equal? What's m? 4, right here, right? Slope equals 4. What is x equal? -2. and plus b. Okay. Go ahead and solve. So we get 4 times negative 2. Negative 8 plus b. And then since this is a negative 8, I'm going to add 8 to both sides. So that's 0. 8 minus 8 is 0. 8 minus 5 is 3. So b equals 3. So what's the equation of the line? Remember, we use the slope. Here's our y-intercept. So our equation of the line is y equals 4x plus 3. Y equals 4x plus 3. And we could verify that going back to the graph. I could go to negative 2 comma negative 5 again. Right, negative 2 comma negative 5. And I could do a slope of 4 over 1. Up 4 over 1. Up 4 over 1. And you would see that the line ends up crossing at, right here, at 3. Right? Same answer we got right here, but without using a graph. So we're trying to do this graphically, but really without the graph. But we could do it either way. Of course, if we start throwing in decimals and fractions, it'd be harder and harder to graph, but the formula would still work. Okay. So go ahead and try, let's see, number 11. Go ahead and do number 11. We'll come around and check to see how you're doing.